I'm Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. The Charlotte County Job Fair takes place on Thursday, March 21st from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Garcelon Civic Center. Joining me today to talk about it are Charlene Hatt, Director of Economic and Workforce Development at the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission, Mike Quinn, Regional Director of WorkingNB, and Scott Hanson, CEO of the Limestone Boat Company. Thank you all for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Before we get into your own specific roles, I'd love, Charlene, for you to start off just by giving us an overview of what we can expect at this year's Charlotte County Job Fair at the Garcelon.
So we have capacity for 27 employers, and we are at capacity. So we have a bit of a wait list right now, but we're trying to figure out how we can make some more room outside of the main area, which is great news. Last year for 2023, we were also at capacity, and we had over 100 participants come through. From the employer perspective, we do a survey after the fact, and the feedback was really positive. Pretty well everybody that was there had found employees in one position or another they were looking for. An employee perspective, we also do surveys as they come through the door looking for information just to capture what people are looking for. And we had no negative feedback. It was all very positive. So we're hoping for the same this year. There's a broad range of opportunities available in all areas, you name it. There's manufacturing, there's non-for-profits, there's nursing, automotive, retail, restaurants, hospitality and tourism. Across the board, all opportunities are available.
And you're making it very easy for people to come. Can you talk a little bit about teaming up with Dial-A-Ride as well as providing childcare for participants to check it out?
Sure. So if you don't have transportation and you'd like to attend, contact Dial-A-Ride 48 hours in advance, and they'll pick you up free of charge anywhere in the region to transport you to the Garcelon Center. As well, if you don't have childcare and you would like to attend, there will be on-site childcare. For the employers on site, if there are potential employees that come through that you want to vet further, we also have an interview space available that they can go and speak in private and have a bit of a one-off interview, so they don't lose the opportunity on the spot.
And Mike, I know that you are highly involved in a number of job fairs across Southwest New Brunswick. Why do you think a job fair is so critical to a region? What does it connect that we might not from, let's say, just using something like Indeed to job search?
It comes down to WorkingNB is about connecting people in the labor market. So it's collecting the supply with the demand. And in this situation with job fairs, you literally have the demand right there in the room, so the supply can come right to them. So it's a little different than tire kicking on the internet. It's a little bit different than just looking at want ads. You can actually come to the job fair, talk to the employers that are in the room, engage with them, ask them questions about what they're going to be able to do for you, and also at the same time give your pitch about how you're going to be able to help them.
And we are lucky enough to have Scott Hanson here of the Limestone Boat Company, who will be one of the employers at the Charlotte County Job Fair. Yeah. Can you tell people, though, Scott, before we get started on what you'll be doing at the job fair, a little bit about your company and why it's so exciting that we have this right here in Charlotte County?
Sure. Limestone's Boats is a little over 40 years old. We're a manufacturer of recreational power boats between 20 and 29 feet. Been manufactured originally for 35, 40 years in Ontario, most recently in the United States for the last 3-4 years, and we made the decision to bring the brand back to Canada. It was suggested that we ought to consider the Maritimes. I was introduced to that through the assistance of ONB and others. We got excited about the opportunity a little over a year ago, January actually, and we started looking at options. Most of our boats are exported to the New England market in the United States, so proximity to market was exciting. The available labor force, based on my discussions with ONB and WorkingNB and others, was attractive in terms of what I would call a trainable labor force for us, and we've been really, really fortunate to. We also, when I brought up the subject of trainable labor force, I was introduced to New Brunswick Community College here in St. Andrews, so I decided to get innovative. We started our own labor force training program in partnership with the college. It's a 14-week immersion training program for composites and assembly. The employees come on as employees from the start of the program. They're paid a full wage when they start in the program. We've been fortunate. We brought 27 in which started in November of this year, and those students will graduate with their Certificate of Achievement at the end of March. They will move into the plant. We're already in there in St. Stephen, and we'll start building serial production boats. And we'll run our second wave of training, which will start in September of this year, which is why we're excited about the job fair, which is, although we have a large number of applicants, as was suggested, being there and being able to answer questions one-on-one with people is a great opportunity. So
I was telling you before we started filming how excited I was to meet you. I've heard so much about your company and just this idea that you're bringing industry back to our region is just so exciting. Can you tell me a little bit about what you will be looking for when you're at the job fair as an employer?
Sure. Yeah, we're looking to fill apprenticeship, or what we would call, positions in terms of technicians. They don't have to have any experience or background as boat builders, but looking for someone that, simply put, has a love for working with their hands, that has a propensity to do projects around the house, that may have an electrical degree or a diploma from NBCC, or a mechanical degree or a diploma from NBCC. We're not exclusive to, I have to have a post-secondary education, let alone I finished my grade 12. I don't see that as a necessity. So anybody's welcome to apply. We're looking for individuals that, have skills that are transferable, and primarily for direct labor positions at this point in time. And then they'll be put through a screening program, which is very formal, to make sure that not only is it the right place for where you have the right candidate, but it's the right place for them. So we use performance models to take a look at them and make sure, because we want to set them up for success. I want them to finish a training program and feel confident and capable. Otherwise, we failed them. Otherwise, they've gone through a program and ultimately they're dissatisfied, or they're not because they're not capable.
What have been some of the biggest challenges about building a company here?
I would say the biggest challenge and the biggest fear was labor, access to labor, and a confidence that we could train a labor force. Because the disruption that comes in manufacturing as a result of the turnover in labor is, financially it can kill you, cripple you as a company. And I've seen that whether it's on Ontario or the central US, it's the same challenge everywhere. So my opinion is that we're fortunate to be here in the province with some of the support of WorkingNB and from Charlene and the connections to the people to help us find qualified candidates, then create a unique program to train them outside of the workplace, to prepare them so that when we deploy them as part of the team, they're capable versus that natural disruption. So that the propensity for that person to probably get disappointed, and the employee to be frustrated, the trainee to be frustrated, and then ultimately move on, and then create this turnover that's a natural. I think we have this chance to make that go away. It will see, but so far I've been really pleased with seeing. We've brought in guest lecturers from all over North America, and they're incredibly surprised at how quickly these students have these employees have come up the curve and what they already know now. So they're giving me and us the confidence that when they're actually building boats starting in April of this year, that they'll go home satisfied. They'll be able to walk out the door at the end of the day and feel like, I've done a good job. I was prepared to do that. And that's only going to bode well to reduce turnover and increase the opportunity as we look to employ over 200 people.
I think why you're such a perfect guest on this episode is because this is the career path that really represents so many of the employers that will be at this job fair, is that you're offering people an opportunity not just for a job, but as something they can be passionate about. What's the feedback been from your employees in this part of the world in terms of the satisfaction of their employment and the pride they take in what they're doing with you?
Yeah, thanks to the introduction that Charlene had with PHRS, which is a regional HR support group, is they came in 3 weeks ago and did a sort of a check-in with all the employees, one-on-one for 15 minutes. I wanted them to see, how are we doing, to your question. And I think our overall score was like 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of on all the different things that we were trying to probe. Are they enjoying the program? Do they feel like they're learning what they need to learn so that when they actually get to do the job, they're going to feel confident? Because I wanted that confidence and that competency. And there was some constructive criticism, which is great. we're going to benefit from them, and the next group of trainees are going to benefit from that. But all in all, they seem really excited. They seem excited about the career path and opportunity for growth. As more people come in, then that's a natural growth opportunity for them. They're feeling capable. They're learning what they need to learn they're liking their home. They're liking the hours of work, a Monday to Friday job with benefits and vacation and opportunity. You know, it's just, and as long as we can be competitive in a global market from here in Charlotte County, that's what matters as an employer. You know, if we can be successful as a group of employees and a company, then it's only going to foster opportunity for growth, because you know, we get to sell more product, we get to build more boats, we get to sell more product, and that creates opportunity for growth for people.
Charlene, obviously the Limestone Boat Company is a shining example of some of the businesses that will be at the job fair. But can you give us an overview of the types of industry that we could see at the job fair this year, and also if it's meant for all ages, be it high school students or potentially someone who wants to just switch careers?
Sure. Yeah, there's a good mixture this year. There's companies like Limestone. There are also other manufacturing companies around the region, from the St. George area, St. Andrews, and St. Stephen. There's also tourism, hospitality, and tourism companies and service providers. In terms of, there's also several other sectors as well. There's nursing and special care homes and automotive, you name it. But in terms of who is best suited for these positions, it really does run the gamut. So there are plenty of opportunities for students, and they're actually going to have posted signs on those employers to say hiring students. So it makes it easier for those students coming through. For young professionals and professionals in general, regardless of your experience, I say professionals in terms of a career path, there's availability for everybody in terms of what you want to look for. I would suggest that if you are looking for a change or looking to see what's available, to come prepared and just have conversations with companies that pique your interest.
Mike, I'd love to get your advice on how you would suggest someone prepare for coming to the job fair as someone potentially seeking employment. Maybe you're not, but should you have, let's say, your resume, your CV with you?
Definitely, and you should do a little research beforehand, right? You should kind of think about, what do I want to gain from going to this job fair? What kind of careers am I interested in? Opportunities am I interested in? Make sure that your resume is kind of honed to those opportunities, right? To sell yourself in the best light possible. And WorkingNB has lots of ways you can do that. Like, they can touch base with employment counselors. We have an office in St. Stephen. We have workrooms that can help people with their resumes and cover letters. The important thing is to make sure that's often the first opportunity employer has to see what your skills are. So you got to make sure that it's appropriate for that employer. So we always say, people will sometimes say, how many resumes should I have? You should have one for every employer you're applying to, and hone it to that employer. But you should also go, you don't have to dress in a tuxedo or a suit or a sports jacket, but you definitely want to clean up a little bit, dress nice. You want to make a good first impression, because employers will typically make that first impression as quickly as it takes to make eye contact with someone. So if you make that wrong first impression, you're climbing up from there. But if you can go in and sell yourself from the get-go, good firm handshake, good eye contact, look really sharp, you're going to go a long ways towards selling yourself.
Can you tell us a little bit more about WorkingNB's role in general, and how they are there to support people who are looking for employment or employment changes or just growth?
Yeah, so really WorkingNB has 3 clients, we always say. So one of our clients are individuals looking for employment, so we can help them with career decision making. I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, that kind of thing, right? We can help them with skills development. So if they're looking to go back, get a trade, maybe work for Limestone Boats, we can help them do those sorts of things. We can help them with job search, which is sort of what this job fair kind of helps with. And then the other thing we help people with is employment maintenance, which is people that don't have a hard time finding work, but maybe have a hard time keeping a job. So we can kind of work with them to get over whatever those idiosyncrasies that keep them not keeping in that job for a long time. With employers, we can help them with the retention and recruitment efforts. We can help them with HR support, so like Practical Human Solutions is an example of where we would help a company bring in professional HR supports. Maybe the company never had an HR policy manual, right? Maybe they're small mom and pop, don't know how to deal with that. Maybe they're a company looking to double in size, so we can bring in the professional HR consultants to help with that. And then the other thing we can help them with is training. So if they have staff that they want to train, we can talk to them a little bit about helping cover some of the costs of that training, especially if they're bringing new equipment, new software, expanding, things like that. And the third client we help are our labor force partnerships, which would be like the Regional Service Commission, because we know we can't know everything. So settlement agencies would be another one helping us with newcomers. But we form what we call labor force partnerships in each of those regional service commissions, where when someone like Limestone's coming in, we all meet and say, okay, what do we need to bring to the table? Who do they need to connect with besides OMB, besides WorkingNB, besides planning commissions in town? And we kind of bring all those people to the table so that the employer doesn't have to sort of jump through hoops trying to figure out who to talk to. We can set up one meeting where they can have a face-to-face with everybody at one time.
Between the two of you, both your jobs are really interesting in terms of having your finger on the pulse of what's happening. Are there trends that you're noticing in terms of economic development in Southwest New Brunswick, or challenges? I know that with the online world being what it is, so many people can work from home full-time or part-time. It's really changed the way we do business. But when you look at it from your lens, what do you see?
The biggest thing that WorkingNB we would see is that supply and demand. It's educating employers on how to be flexible, how to open up it doesn't have to be 9 to 5. I could hire, like, say, an older or retired worker that's only looking to work 2 or 3 times a week. That's an opportunity. Working with young kids that maybe want more time off, maybe 4-day work weeks instead of 5. So it's things like that, but our whole focus is often on where does we find the talent. And you kind of nailed it perfectly earlier when you said that you've been able to find a lot of people locally. That's where we start. Can you find the talent locally? Can we upskill them? Can we train them? If you're not locally, what about inside New Brunswick? There's lots of people around New Brunswick, lots of underutilized groups that we can bring to the table and connect with the employer. And then if all that fails, we have immigration. And often we'll start by just having those conversations with an employer to see what you've done, how you can improve your recruitment and your retention. And if immigration seems like the right tool, we can bring HR consultants in, we can connect with Immigration NB, which is under our post-secondary education training and labor banner now. So yeah, there's lots we can do. Amazing. But yeah, definitely it's the supply and demand.
I would just add that to that point, it's on the supply and demand side of things, we do have an aging population, and we're in unprecedented times right now. So the workforce is definitely in demand, in high demand. So employers have to change what they're looking for, right? So it's being flexible, but it's also, as Scott mentioned, not focusing so much on post-secondary education requirements, whereas 15 years ago that might have been the number one requirement, because you have to be more flexible to get the people that you want to get.
Yeah, it's the underutilized groups, right? So it's people with disabilities, it's newcomers, it's retirees and older workers. It's the kids that don't have no educational training plan. It's connect with those. They don't have a grade 12, big deal. I can train them to have those skills. So a lot of the protectionism or the ways to screen people out when there was so much supply, not enough demand, is switched. It's flipped on its head. Now it's the opposite. So employers have to be more flexible. So the employers that are flexible are doing much better than the ones that are still sticking to that. No, in my day, you had to have a university education. And
I think last year's Charlotte County Job Fair, I met Kaleidoscope, which is a nonprofit that connects formerly retired seniors with employment opportunities. So it is such a neat job fair in terms of...
And that's a WorkingNB funded initiative, right? Because we know there's a lot of retirees out there that are, say, 50 and over even, that could work. I mean, you see like some of if I think of like the Home Depots and the Walmarts, they figured it out, the Costco's, right? They figured it out. They've hired the older workers, they're flexible, and that's how they're able to capture them. But if an employer is willing to be a little flexible, those workers are coming in all kinds of skills, years of experience, and they can fill in those little gaps that they have.
Both my parents retired and went back to work in their 70s, so I'm a first-hand example of seeing this in action. I'd love to hear a little bit more, Scott, about why you picked this part of the world to bring your business to, and why you see it thriving here.
I think for us, I had a pretty good list and wish list in terms of what was the ideal location. Obviously, proximity to market that we serve as a company in terms of what we manufacture and what we export to retail. It was critical. The cost of getting your product to the market. We don't build small things. We don't put them in little containers. We have to put them on big transport trucks and put them on the road and run them from here to South Florida. So proximity to market is important to us. Access to a major transportation network is really important. Second to that would be facilities. Can we access land, buildings, and permitting necessary for us to expand? We were fortunate to find 33,000 square feet on 17 acres and a community that will allow us to expand on that footprint, to allow us to grow the business here in St. Stephen and hire upwards of 250 people. Finding that place. And then most importantly, at the end of the day, is finding the people. What is a trainable labor force? And we certainly have found that with the help of the resources of ONB and WorkingNB and Charmaine's organization to build a system to reach out to those people, to introduce them to the career opportunity at Limestone, the opportunity for formal training, so that, that was a real plus for me, was that if we look at the challenges of turnover and training and the disruption to manufacturing, to do things differently. And that's really what it is. Do things differently. Do things differently in terms of how we hire, who we hire. Don't rule people out based on education, but determine whether they're the right person with the right DNA that are ideally suited for a career in our industry, and then let's go and train them. It's our responsibility to create the opportunity, and being able to do that by creating a program here so locally with the college and keep it outside the manufacturing, I think was a real plus.
Well, I think that you
so I think between proximity to market, available facilities and expansion opportunity, and a trainable labor force, it became, do we locate centrally within, many people would say, locate your business centrally within the United States because that's the ideal place, But no, we can be a Canadian manufacturer, we can be successful, and here in the Maritimes we can be successful because our market is next door.
And I love that you are really giving people from our region a chance to write the next chapter of our history's involvement in industry. And I think that's really exciting that you'll be at the job fair offering just a new venue for us here in Charlotte County. We have just a couple minutes left, so I'd love to hear from all of you just your final thoughts on why people should come out to the Charlotte County Job Fair on March 21st at the Garcelon Civic Center. Charlene, I'll start with you.
Sure. So I think that as, wrap up all that we've said, they're unprecedented times right now as if you're a potential employee. So come on out and see what's available and talk to people about jobs that you're potentially interested in.
And I would say, whether you already have a job and are looking to see what else is out there for opportunities, whether you're looking to get into the labor market for the first time, whether you're going to be graduating from high school soon and you want to see what some of those opportunities are, have a part-time job, this is the opportunity. Your employers are all right there. We've contained them. They can't escape. It's your chance to go in and meet with them one-on-one and sell yourself.
And Scott, I'll give you the final thoughts.
I would say it's a wonderful place to live, work, and play. There's lots of shiny objects west of here in terms of career growth and opportunity, but there's lots of opportunities here. And be able to go to one place, and as you were saying, get a feel for all these different companies and the career opportunities. It's wonderful to be able to go there, but I think for the potential employee, whether they're graduating from high school or they've left high school or they're in the middle of their career, to get exposed to all these different companies. Not every opportunity is right for everybody. And this is a great opportunity to see what might be right for me.
Well, it's definitely a changing world, and so nice that you don't necessarily have to leave Charlotte County to follow your dreams.
No. That's right.
I look forward to seeing you all at the job fair, but thank you so much for taking time to sit down with me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Thank you very much for having me.
My guests today have been Charlene Hatt, Mike Quinn, and Scott Hanson, talking about the Charlotte County Job Fair on March 21st at the Garcelon Civic Center from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.